Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got huge news. 8 new ninja cards revealed in the OCG live stream, going over Darkwing Blast, revealing some new things, such as the 8 new ninja cards. We also get 3 new prediction princess cards, as well as a new generic sea serpent link monster, which we'll get to at the end here. But all in all, really solid stuff to see. Really, just it's good, okay? But we got a lot of cards to go through, 12 full cards here, so stick with me. I'll try and be efficient as we roll through it. We're going to go in that order: ninjas, princess, and then the Link-4. So let's jump in with the ninjas, starting off with Sky Ninja Tobari. This is a level 1 Earth Winged Beast. You'll see a theme here with the types of the different ninja monsters you see here, which the original Ninjutsu Art of Transformation can let you summon a winged beast, an insect, or a beast from your deck, depending on the levels. And obviously those are 3 of the new monsters here, so they are summonable off of that. Adds a little extra synergy. Okay, level 1 Earth Winged Beast, 0/0 for the stats. And it has a hard once return on the first and third effects. The first effect reads: you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon a ninja from your hand in face up or face down defense position. This is like a really mediocre extension effect. If this was hand or graveyard, I'd be so much more inclined by it, but unfortunately I'm just not that thrilled. Summoning from hand means you give up 2 cards to get 1 card out of hand. Kind of mediocre. Second effect, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. The turn it was special summoned or flipped face up. Not a big deal. This card, I mean, I'm not trying to leave this card on the field anyway. It's a really weak body, and it doesn't really offer much as far as interruption goes, so meh. And the third effect, during your opponent's main or battle phase, quick effect, fusion summon 1 ninja fusion from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. That's the most interesting effect on this guy for sure. It's just having a quick effect fusion for a ninja. We get the first fusion ninja monster, I believe, in this set. I don't think there already exists any, so that's really nice. But to be honest, the new fusion's pretty easy to summon without an actual fusion spell. We'll talk more about that when we get there, but just kind of meh to me. I think this is one of the weaker cards of the new support. Next up, we move to Insect Ninja Mitsu. This is a level 2 water insect effect monster. 200 attack, 2100 defense, so big booty there. Then we get to 2 hard once per turn effects. If you control a ninja card or a face down defense position monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Really nice, easy extension effect. I like this effect a lot. I mean, I really think this effect is pretty solid. Extension, I've talked about this for years, is that we just need better ninja extenders. This one definitely fits the bill there. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can target one of your face down defense position monsters, change it to face up defense, and if you do, change this card to face down defense. Then if the targeted monster was a ninja monster, except for itself, negate that opponent's activated effect. So long story short, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you flip a face down monster face up while also flipping this card face down. And if it was a ninja, you negate that effect. You get to negate that card. But if you're flipping something that is not a ninja, you're not negating. So this is technically a monster negation, which is pretty good because if you can, even if you just open this with a ninja that has a decent set effect, you just go set, special this next to it, and pass. You've got at least a monster negate and maybe whatever you get when you flip summon, or when that the other ninja gets flipped up. So pretty cool, pretty interesting. I like this one. It's an extender that also offers a potential interruption. Pretty cool. And we have ways to summon this out of the deck on the opponent's turn as well, so that comes up. And the last one here is Beast Ninja Baku, or the last one of the types for the super transformation. Level 3 Wind Beast, 1500 attack, 600 defense, nothing crazy for the stats. 2 hard once per turn effects. If this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it. Okay, not the craziest thing in the world. This ninjas don't have a ton of ways to add, but like if you can special Hanzo could search him and then he jumps on the field immediately. I'm sure there are other ways. It's a beast, so it's not even a warrior, so we can't like rota for it. I'm sure there are other ways. I can't think of them off the top of my head of how to search this cleanly, but like if you do, like cool, easy extension. And then if this card is special summoned or flipped face up, you can target a ninja or ninjutsu art card in the graveyard or face up spell and trap zone and return it to the hand. Nice recursion effect. This one might be a one-of, but again, it's going to come down to how easily and how consistently we'll be able to search him to get him that extension effect. because his other effects only work on specials. If you have him in the hand, he's not as good. I mean, we do have stuff like Tobari to pull him out of the hand, and I believe the next one as well can help with that, but I don't know. Kind of iffy. All right, and the last main deck monster we have here as far as the new guys go is Musket Ninja Kagero, level 4 Fire Warrior. Okay, 1600 attack, 2000 defense, 2 hard ones return effects. If this card is normal or special summoned or flipped up, you can special summon one ninja monster from your hand or graveyard in face down defense position, except for himself. Pretty solid extension. The only downside is this one does not give you an option. You have to summon in face down defense mode, so you couldn't just straight up pull another monster and then go into like a Saizo, unfortunately. Whereas we've seen with like Yellow Ninja plus Hanzo was always good, because it'd be like Yellow Ninja special Hanzo, Hanzo search a warrior or search another ninja. And in this case, we'd be able to search something like Mitsu and then be able to extend with Mitsu. But unfortunately, we can't do that here because you have to summon face down, which is a downside. But it is still an extender no matter what. And some of these monsters do have better flip effects than some of the ones we already have, so we'll take it. And the last effect, when your opponent activates a card effect that targets a ninja card or face down defense versus monster you control and no other cards, so only target one, and this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, special summon this card face down, and if you do, return the targeted card to the hand. Just kind of helps you dodge targeting effects, whether it's negation, whether it's removal. That's not the worst thing in the world, and I also like that this works in grave. If this was just on field, it'd be pretty awful. But I like that this works in grave too. So you could use him as fodder for something like a Saizo, and then still just have him as an extra piece of removal, or I guess dodging, all right, in the graveyard. It's pretty cool. So cool. Those are your new monsters. I would say by far, like, Mitsu's the best one of the 4. Kagero's probably next, then Baku, and I feel like Tobari is just by far the weakest one. But yeah. So moving into our new fusion guy, we have War Ninja Maizen. This is level 6 Dark Warrior Fusion, 2500 attack, 1500 defense. Any 2 ninjas with different types as its material, which is interesting. So like 2 warrior ninjas you cannot use. So cool. And then this card has another stipulation where it must either first be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by tributing the above cards you control. So you can just like essentially contact fuse into this just by tributing 2 ninjas with different types, which is pretty sweet. And the third effect is a hard one's return. Your opponent, your ninja monsters can attack directly. That's pretty cool. That includes himself, so he can already just dink for 2,500. Cannot be targeted for attacks while you control a face down defense position monster. Nothing crazy there. That is not a crazy effect at all. And third, when your opponent activates any card or effect, quick effect, you can special summon 1 ninja monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position. That's pretty good. Pulling a Hanzo out of the deck just to get a search for another follow-up ninja monster. Summoning something like Mitsu if you already have another face-down monster. That way Mitsu then could become a monster negation. Or I'm sure there are other good instances as well. I guess technically you could summon Baku and then Baku just add a ninja back from grave. So there's definitely some uses there. Pretty good. I wish there was a concrete ninja that you could summon that would just immediately be an interruption, like on summon it interrupts, but I don't know if we have access to that. But still a decent card nonetheless. Every turn when your opponent's just activating anything, you get to just E-tele. Pretty cool. All right, into the spells. Novel Ninjutsu Art Book. It's a quick play spell. You can only use both of its effects once per turn. If your opponent controls a card, any card, set 1 Ninjutsu Art spell or trap and or 1 ninja monster. 1 comes from your deck and 1 comes from your graveyard, except for another copy of itself. That's pretty good. Obviously, the biggest downside is that your opponent has to control a card, and this does not have any clause to it that says, like, you can activate a ninjutsu art trap the turn you set it, which is a bummer, because if you're going first, you'd have to set this. Even if you wanted to get something like a Shadow Ceiling, like a Super Transformation, or any of those cards, they still wouldn't be able to activate that turn. So, I don't know. It is weird, but it is still a pretty powerful card, all things considered. Once you get very minimal setup, it is just a raw +1. So, I don't know. The question is going to be, like, is it worth it? At the end of the day, it kind of gives me vibes of like the Urgent Schedule. Probably not as good overall, but like kind of similar to that. Not great turn 1 going first, but like after that, it just gets you a lot of value. So I don't know. And then if this set card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a face-up monster on the field, flip it face down. That's okay. I don't think it's that great. This deck I don't think has a lot of easy ways to like trigger that yourself, so whatever. This card's interesting. Very interesting. I'll be curious to see how many copies people will be willing to play. All right, then we have an equip spell. This is Ninjutsu Art Equipment Kanamugura. Second and third effects are hard once returns. The equipped monster gains 500 and is treated as a ninja. Okay. You can banish one ninja monster from your grave to target a card on the field and destroy it. Cool. That's pretty easy. And if this card is sent from the field or graveyard, target a banished ninja monster and either add it to your hand or special summon it face down. This card's actually pretty decent. I could actually see this being a one-of just as a removal spell, but all you have to do is banish one ninja one time, and now when this card just is sent from field to graveyard while it's equipped to something, you just link into a Saizo, clear it, and then you're either summoning back another ninja or you're adding it back to your hand, which is pretty good. I think this card's a pretty solid card, all things considered. And then we have the final card here for the ninjas, which is a trap. It is Ninjutsu Art of Fallen Leaves Dance, a continuous trap, of course. And you can only use one of its effects once per turn. It has two, but you can only do one per turn. Activate this card by targeting a ninja monster or a face-down monster on the field. I like that it's on the field, so if your opponent sets something, you can hit their card as well. Or if you book something of theirs, you can send theirs. Tribute it, and if you do, special summon a ninja from your deck. I like that there's no stipulation here in terms of levels, in terms of like types, restrictions, whatever. I like that you just get to summon any ninja from deck. That could be Hanzo to search a card. That could be Green Ninja to kind of set him up. That could be Mitsu to set up a monster negate. There's a handful of things. There's no level, so you can go for some of the big ninjas that we sometimes don't play because they're kind of bricky. There's a lot of variation here on what you can go for. And then when this card leaves the field, send the monster to the grave. That's kind of like the drawback of all the Ninjutsu Art traps, but still really good. And if this card is face up, second effect, you can target a Ninjutsu Art's continuous spell or trap in your spell and trap zone and just return it to the hand. I love this effect. Even though you can't use both these in the same turn, theoretically you'd go first, you'd set this, use the first effect to summon a ninja from deck to like maybe get more interruption or more follow-up or whatever. And then you would use, and then assuming you stopped your opponent, and this card stays on the field, next turn you could just get a free resource back to hand, whether it's bouncing itself, that way you can set it again and do what it does again, or you can bounce another Ninjutsu Art card that like triggers on activation, just so that it goes back to hand and now you're good to go. I really, really like that. I think this is one of the best Ninjutsu Art cards we've gotten, especially out of the trap cards. All in all, I think the support's pretty interesting. I honestly have to like really go in and lab with all the ninja cards we already have to see where we're actually at. I don't think it's amazing support, but who knows? Who knows? It needs labbing. But I do think it is like a really, really welcome piece of wave of support. Sorry. So let's keep going here. Next up, Prediction Princess. This is Bibliomuse. It's a level 9 Earth Fairy Flip monster, 25/25 for the stats. If this card is tributed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it in face-down defense position. Okay, tributed would be like for a ritual summon, so that's pretty easy in the deck. On flip, you can add a Prediction Princess monster, except for itself, and one ritual spell from your deck to your hand. That is pretty insane, that you just get to add any Prediction Princess monster and a ritual spell, any ritual spell generically, also pretty strong. That's pretty good. And third effect, your opponent cannot target ritual monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So even if you just get on the field and leave it on the field, it does still offer a hefty amount of protection to your ritual boss monsters. Pretty good. I mean, I don't know how bricky Prediction Princesses are, and this card is obviously like kind of a brick if you don't see it with the right cards to like get it tributed and in rotation, but still, pretty solid. Moving on here, we have Nether Prediction Princess Tarot Trith. This is a level 9 Dark Fairy Ritual Flip monster. 1200 attack, 2700 defense. Really small attack, 1200. Okay. You can ritual summon this card with the Nether Prediction Ritual. Must be ritual summoned and then can be special summoned with Prediction Princess Tarot Trith. And here we go. Flip. On flip, you can special summon one flip monster from your deck face down. Okay. Just E-Telly for a monster already in face down defense position. That's pretty good. Quick effect, activate one of these effects. Change any number of face-down monsters you control to to face up defense position and change any or change any number of face up monsters you control to face down position. That's pretty cool. Yeah, once you get this set up, it almost is just like a Subterra final battle, but like walking. Just lets you just keep flipping stuff face down. I wish this was just all monsters on the field. Like, what if this was just like target up to 2 monsters on the field and just flip their, situation face up or face down? That way you could like potentially Book of Moon 2 from your opponent, or if Book of Moon's 2 of your own flip monsters, gets them back in rotation to get flipping again. Like, that'd be really cool, but still not a bad card. I don't know much about Prediction Princesses, but as far as what I know them wanting to do, these seem like decent so far. And then we finish with Nether Prediction Ritual. It's a ritual spell, of course. This card can be used to ritual summon any Prediction Princess monster from your hand or graveyard. That is huge. We've seen this, like, it's the same thing, whereas, like, fusion cards, spells need to break the fusion mechanic. Same thing with rituals, and this does that. So you can summon them in face-up attack, or face-down defense position. You must also tribute a monster from hand or field whose levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual. During the standby phase, if you control a Prediction Princess ritual monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one non-ritual Prediction Princess monster from your deck in face-down defense position. That's pretty solid, because that just means if you use this to put, like, this one on the field, Tarot Traith, then that means on your opponent's, this is the standby, so on your opponent's standby, when you control the Tarot Traith, you would just, like, summon Bibliomuse face down, and then you would be able to, like, quick effect flip her face up with the Tarot Traith to get her like, double search for follow-up, which is pretty good. And then she offers protection for your walking monster, your Tarot Traith at the end of the day as well. Again, I don't know everything that all the other Prediction Princess cards do, so I'm sure there's some great synergies there. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Let's move to our final card here. We've got World Ocean Dragon Zelantis. It's a Link-4 Water Sea Serpent Link monster, 2,500 attack, and his arrow is the plus sign, up, down, left, right. And his materials, this is the funniest thing, his materials are 1 or more monsters. That is insane. I think the most important thing to keep in mind here, he is still Link-4, so even though he takes 1 or more monsters, you cannot just take like any monster into him. He still needs a Link-4 to be used as one material for him, but this does give you essentially like an overlay, like a way to just like overlay an Exceed straight on top of another Exceed kind of mechanic, where you can just take any Link-4 straight into this card, which is pretty funny. So yeah, here we go. You can only use the second and third effects once per turn. You can only control one of him. During your main phase, you can banish as many monsters on the field as possible. Then special summon as many of them as possible to their owner's fields in face-up attack position, face-down defense position, face-up defense position, or face-down defense position. Huh. Interesting. So you just banish everything, and then you summon them all back, but in whatever positions you want. So theoretically, you could like summon all your opponent's stuff back, like in face-down defense position, and all of your stuff in face-up attack, and then just like run over their board. That's pretty interesting. That's a really interesting effect. Huh. And the third effect, during the battle phase, quick effect, you can destroy cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters. I guess that depends as well. If you banish certain link monsters, you can kind of replace them on the field so that they are co-linked pretty easily. And then you just get destructions. You get a bunch of pops, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think this card's pretty solid generically. Like, just the fact that it's really generic. If you can just make a Link-4, you can make this. It has a pretty interesting removal effect where it's not always guaranteeing you're, like, removing everything, but, like, there are also situations where, like, monsters haven't been summoned correctly, so when they leave the field, they can't just come back, so they do leave and not come back, so maybe you can take advantage of that at certain times, but really, really interesting. I'd be curious, like, the best scenarios for this card to come up in. The other thing that's really interesting is this is, like, probably a staple for, like, Marine Cess now. That's a really good Link Climb water deck that gets you to Link-4s very easily. But like maybe if you're riding with a Bubble Reef or something, this gives you a much more offensive option that like for a literally 1-for-1 swap, you can literally just take Bubble Reef right into this. Which is pretty cool. And like that deck really only locks you into water, so there's no restriction there. Which is really funny because I had recently thought about like Marine Cess, and I was like, could you imagine if just like Appaloosa was water attribute instead of wind? Like it'd be like Marine Cess would make that Appaloosa like so easy and just add that to its board like so often. And it'd be just so easy for them to facilitate. But now we actually have another generic water that'll probably be a staple in that deck. Could be a staple in other decks as well. I guess it depends. Because like theoretically, if you're making access code, you're probably going for game anyway. But I guess if you made an Appaloosa turn 1 and it kind of held your opponent back and they didn't clear the Appaloosa, this becomes a much more offensive card for you to be able to immediately kind of transition your Appaloosa into, which is pretty cool. So I could see situations like that coming up. But outside of that, I don't know. It need to be a little more specific to scenarios, and I'd be curious how truly well this card would perform in certain competitive scenarios. But very cool nonetheless. So yeah, I am all finished up there. This actually brings our total down by 12 for the cards we were waiting for. I still think we were still waiting on like 38, 37, somewhere between like 35 and 38, I think, cards. So this brings us down to closer to like 25 cards left. We'll probably get the last like 15 at the end. So we'll probably get 10 revealed in the next like week-ish. And then on the last day or so, we'll probably get the last like 10 or 12 cards. Pretty cool though. Very excited to see the final reveals. I think this set looks pretty solid. 2 good new archetypes. Some really good legacy support for decks people like. And now some other stuff as well. I mean, Ninjas, I called it. I'm just so pumped I called it. But yeah, really, really cool. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching as always. I know this video was long, but we had 12 whole cards to get through. So glad you stuck with me. If you stuck with me this long, subscribe if you haven't. You want to see more news videos when more cards drop. We've got the rest of Darkwing Blast coming in the next week. We should be getting the first deck build archetype from the new deck build pack. Amazing Defenders and more than that. We'll get more. It's always coming. So yeah, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.